Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Bonnie. Member for Buderim.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I rise to address the cognate debate in relation to the Supplementary Appropriations Bill, and I'll endeavour to make a brief contribution tonight, unless those opposite interject too much. I will focus on those particular, and I'm not taking interjections of my colleagues, am I right? I'll focus on those elements as they relate to my portfolio responsibilities as the Minister for the Department of Transport and Main Roads. And before I start, I want to acknowledge the hard work of those many thousands of public servants who work within the Department of Transport and Main Roads, those road tech workers who have been on the ground in the Cook electorate, restoring road access after the most recent natural disasters, the planners who are working through the pipeline of delivering the infrastructure that we need here in a growing state, whether it's our Queensland rail workers who deliver the passenger services here or the freight services on the Mount Isa line, for example. Their work does not go unnoticed, and on behalf of the government, I want to say thank you to them as we increasingly do more, and we'll continue to deliver for Queenslanders. And this bill is about providing the government, the public service, with the tools that they need to be able to get on with the job of delivering for Queenslanders. Some of the $405 million that is allocated to the Department of Transport and Main Roads in this supplementary appropriations is to fund the permanent implementation of the LNP's 50-cent fares, a tremendous LNP initiative, something we're very proud to champion. And as I said earlier in the week, we've seen 230 million trips since the introduction of the LNP's permanent 50-cent fares in February last year. More than $497 million saved by Queenslanders compared to Labor's previous fare structure. Almost $500 million, that is, in the pockets of Queensland residents, commuters, compared to what they would have paid under Labor, Madam Deputy Speaker. And we're very pleased to see the response that Queenslanders have delivered after we made 50-cent fares permanent. Patronage on our network has increased by 22.2% over the period compared to the pre-50-cent fare period. I think that's real evidence that our permanent 50-cent fares is making a difference, providing real cost of living relief for Queenslanders. And rather than just talking about it, rather than just thinking about it and having an ambition about it, as the former Minister and the member for Aspley said, he was talking about it on the first day he was sworn in as Transport Minister. He just didn't get around to it, making it permanent for the whole time he was the Transport Minister.
Point of order, Madam
nonetheless.
Speaker.
Member for Buderim, I'll get you to take your seat. Your point of order, Member for Aspley.
Minister's clearly misleading the House. I'm happy to write to you, but I also take offence and ask that he withdraw.
The member takes offence. Ask you to withdraw.
I withdraw, but I won't. But I would make the observation, Madam Deputy Speaker, that only the LNP has made 50-cent fares permanent. In fact, Labor had an opportunity, 10 years in power. They didn't do it. They funded a short-term trial in the eve of an election for 6 months. And what's very clear is they were never committed to making 50-cent fares permanent. If they were, the evidence would have been there before the election when they had 10 years to make it permanent. And it's all well and good to sit there and say, I thought it was a good idea and I had an opportunity. to make it permanent, but I didn't. Well, that's their record, Madam Deputy Speaker. That's I mean, the numbers don't lie, Madam Deputy Speaker. If we look at the 2024-25 budget, there is a line item, and it's described. This is how it's described, Madam Deputy Speaker. Not my words, their budget.
Members to my left.
Public transport temporary fare reduction. Their budget. Public transport temporary fare reduction. So how much do you reckon's in the 4 years, Madam Deputy Speaker? Zero. That's their record. So let's be very, very clear. It's only an LNP government, the Chrysler-Fully government, that have made 50-cent fares permanent. And they can hyperventilate all they want, but the reality is when they could, they didn't. And Queenslanders know it, Madam Deputy Speaker. Queenslanders know it, and Queenslanders know that it's the LNP government, the Chrysler-Fully government, that has delivered real cost of living relief by making 50-cent fares permanent. Madam Deputy Speaker, this supplementary appropriation has an allocation to help support additional rollout of the South East Queensland and regional urban bus network. Improvements to the bus network funded by the LNP, Christopher Lee government, ensuring more bus services, better bus services, changes to how we support services to schools, opening of a new station at Pimpama, the first in 10 years, delivered by an LNP government, not a Labor government. The first station in 10 years. They couldn't build a station in 10 years. We did one in the first year, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I will take that interjection, the member for Mermaid Beach. Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3, and a project in the member for Mermaid Beach's electorate. It was originally priced at $709 million. That's what they said it was going to cost. By their budget, by their 2024 budget, that had blown out to $1.219 billion. 72% increase. That's their record. But they weren't fit to stop there, member for Mermaid Beach, through you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The former Labor government hid another $330 million blowout. They signed off on it literally in the week before they went into caretaker. They didn't tell anyone, mind you. We found out when we came in. They wanted to hide that from Queensland. They were a bit embarrassed about their record, as they should have been. They signed off on another $330 million cost blowout on Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. Now, why do they have that blowout, Madam Deputy Speaker, you ask? Well, I'll take that interjection. Beeping. Thuggery, bullying, lawlessness, destroying productivity on job sites from the CFMEU, writ large on Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. And by contrast, our government is getting on with the job of delivering Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. In fact, as the member for Mermaid Beach knows, the first tram was on the tracks at the end of last year, testing between Miami North and the Broadbeach sections, getting on with the job, delivering the project in a calm, considered, methodical way, restoring productivity, doing everything that those opposite failed to do. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, Queenslanders can see it. Queenslanders can see that our government is a government focused on delivery, and we're getting on with the job. And if we look at Cross River Rail, another project, another abject failure under the Labor government, $19.4 billion. That's what Labor said. It'll be 5.4. You're all over your brief, member for Mermaid Beach. I'll take that interjection. $5.4 billion. That's what they said. $19 billion. That's where they got to. And they said it'd be open in 2024. We now know it's going to be 2029. That's their record. Why? Why, Madam Deputy Speaker? Productivity destroyed, CFMEU thuggery, bullying, destroying productivity. We saw over 140 days of protected industrial action in a single year under the Labor government. Compared to our record, 2025. How many days do we reckon we lost in protected industrial action on Cross River Rail in calendar year 2025? Any bids? How many days did we lose? How many days did we lose? 148 under the member for Aspley. How many did we lose last year? 0. That's right, member for Lockyer. 0. That is what restoring productivity looks like, Madam Deputy Speaker, and that is how we will end the abject failure that we saw under the member for Aspley. $6.7 billion in project blowouts, just in Q-Trip alone. That ignores Cross River Rail, just in Q-Trip alone. $6.7 billion. Is there any wonder the budget is under pressure when Labor mismanaged the transport portfolio so poorly? I've got to get to my own electorate yet, member for Lockyer. But we have seen why, and we've seen it writ large at the Commission of Inquiry, the direct line to Jackie Trad. We've seen it writ large, and the evidence is there. Queenslanders can see we're getting on with the job, delivering Cross River Rail. But I do want to turn to my own electorate in Buderim, because we've seen some tremendous progress on some transport projects, the Malula River Interchange. One of the first acts of the member for Aspley was to roll over when the federal government cut funding for the MRI. Well, we're getting on with the job. Construction started, and I can hear the member for Maroochydore there with her interjections, getting on with the job, delivering the Malula River Interchange, the full scope of the Malula River Interchange. Now, the member for Aspley saw fit to kick Queenslanders out of their homes, knock down their homes in the middle of a housing crisis, which would be all right if you were going to build the thing, but then he didn't even want to build it, Madam Deputy Speaker. We're getting on with the job of delivering it. Sugar Road, Malula Road, another project. In fact, I had the former Minister for Transport Main Roads out there, and he said it's a dangerous intersection, we need to fund it. In fact, he put money in the budget for it. Do you reckon he built it? He cut the funding. He said he was going to fund it. He did fund it. Then he cut it. Never built it. We're getting on with the job. Work on ground there already. And importantly, and I've got the Minister for Education here, upgrades at Mountain Creek State School in my electorate. What a tremendous school it is, but it's been underfunded by the Labor Party for far too long. And only the LNP Crisafulli government is delivering for Buderim and for all Queenslanders. And that's why I support this legislation.